click on main camera, and I'll open up my script, edit script, and it will open up in my chosen editor, which is something I use called Sublime. I like this because it's very quick to open, but you probably have Visual Studio, and that's fine, stick with that. What we're going to do is we're going to add another public game object. This is going to be simply a game object, and we're going to call it cube, because we're going to drag that prefab into here. And then also I'm going to add a public, now I think we would add let's try a game object. We might have to come back and change this, and it's going to be called position. Or shall we make it because this position thing, it's not an object, as you saw. All we want to get from it is its position. So what we're going to do is we can actually transform is a type, right? Like text is a type, like TMP is a type, like int is a type. Game object is another type of variable, but transform is a unity type, the most basic thing that all game objects have, and we're going to make that public as well. And I'm going to save that script, give it a little minute to reload. And what you'll see in a second is that this script will update, and it will have two empty slots, one for the position and one for this cube. And we're going to drag this cube variant into the empty slot and the position into the other empty slot. Give it a second. I'm sure your computers are much faster. There we go. Now it's reloaded. The script compiled. There were no issues, although there is a red warning, but that's to do with something else that happened, I think, when I was running the game. And we can fix that in a minute. So as I said, we're going to drag that cube variant from our project, the prefab. We're going to drag it into that slot for cube, and then we're going to drag the position into this slot for position. And so we're going to now use that position to generate this cube at runtime. So if I switch back to this tutorial here that I've linked in the folder below, or I've shared with you on Teams, however, and we go down, we've done the materials bit, so you can recap over everything. It's all here, the instructions are all here, and we go all the way down to the bottom, and then we get to after prefab variant. I've actually got the script that I'm creating. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the another if statement. I'm going to detect the space key, and then I'm going to use this function called instantiate to instantiate the cube at that position. And then once I've done that, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to explain some further tasks that you need to do to practice this. So go back to the script. In my update function, it's getting a little bit busy now, so I will show you in the next tutorial how to sort this out using something called functions. Really important things you get to understand, but it helps to break up very long scripts into things that make logical sense. So let's just put this as the last thing in our update function, and we're going to do another if statement, and we're going to use the input library to detect get key down. Then we're going to get the key code, and what key code are we going to get? We're going to get the space bar. Now remember, if you want to check this out, you can go to the docs and see what all the key codes are, and it will tell you. Then the next thing we're going to do is use this instantiate function. Instantiate basically means create, right? And what we're going to create, we're going to create this cube at a position. So you put in the cube object that we created at the position. Right, and if I save that now, it's that simple to do this, and I go back to Unity and I let it reload. the script's recompiling, it's checking whether there's any errors. Just going to have a quick look at this error in the console, because it said there was something on maybe line 60, I think, if I read it, and I could fix that bug. Current level text. You should always try and get rid of any warnings or errors that you get in the console. Sometimes Unity produces errors that don't even really exist, which is strange. But when they're giving you a specific error that there's something in your script that you should look at, it's worth checking that out and fixing it, obviously, because it won't run. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Assets game controller line 60. So yeah, it is on line 60. And they're talking about game status text. Strange. Because that's the game status text, and we've set the object. Basically, if there was nothing in that slot and we were trying to set the text, it would be like you're trying to update a value that has nothing in it. But I think it's fine. So let's run this now. We'll see the cube drop, and then when I press the space bar, you'll see generate lots of cubes. Yeah, and while this is running, I might as well just switch back to this, so this video isn't long. What are you going to have to do next? Next thing you're going to need to do is repeat this. So see if you can make other types of shapes, circles, cylinders, whatever. Give them materials, and then see if you can generate those shapes at different positions. So create more position objects and use like position 1, position 2, position 3, or call them like sphere position, right? And have lots of those positions that you're then going to use to tell Unity where to instantiate these objects, right? And then after this, here's a slightly more difficult task, but if you did the last tutorial on where we had levels, so we were pressing the W key to increase the score, and it got to a certain threshold, and that threshold meant that you went on to the next level. Well, maybe what you could do is you could make the levels about what kind of shape that you've got to generate. So you need to think about this a little bit, but maybe level 1, you could press the W key to generate a space bar to generate a cube, and then increase the score. And then once you get, and it's not much of a game this really, is it? But like, you know, and then once you get over 200, you've got to press the another key to generate a sphere, and that's the only thing that will increase the score. And you have to give the feedback to that person to say you're now on level 1, level 2. Press this key to advance. So see how you can get on with that, and I'll think about a solution for that too, and do another video on this. Okay, so there we are. I'm on level 1, so I press space. But now I've generated another cube, and they all fall down on top of each other. Sometimes they hit each other like that. I can press it hundreds of times and I'll get hundreds of cubes. Right, so there you go. That's everything that I wanted to go through. So over to you. Go and repeat this. Practice what we've just done. Create more shapes, different positions. Let's see if you can make it into a bit of a game where you've got to press certain keys to generate certain shapes until you get to a certain score. Okay, thank you.